What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I go forward in this video, I want to give a shout out to a couple of subscribers for showing love. Salute to the brother Kennard Washington for the donation to the channel. He says, love the sports topics. Salute to you, brother, for showing love. And I also want to give a shout out to the brother Eric Levin for the donation to the channel. He had a video request. He wanted me to give my opinion on who I thought would have won in a series between the 2018 Rockets versus the 2018 Warriors. Now, of course, he wanted to give my opinion on who I thought would have won between the 2018 Rockets versus the 2018 Cavaliers. Let me clarify that. If they had faced each other in the NBA Finals. Now, of course, in real life, the Rockets lost in 7 to the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. That's the game that they infamously, despite missing 27 three-pointers in a row at one point and not having the services of Chris Paul that game. Chris Paul got injured in Game 5, didn't play in Game 6 or Game 7. Despite these huge shortcomings, they still only lost by single digits to the Warriors. And the Warriors then went on to play the Cavaliers. They swept the Cavaliers 4-0, though the sweep was not as devastating as we sometimes remember. I think 2 of those games were winnable for the Cavaliers. But anyway, they got swept. Now, I think that, first of all, I do got to reiterate here that that Rockets team was specifically built to beat or at least compete against the Warriors. Because at that time, largely because of the trade of Kyrie Irving, the Cavaliers were a threat, obviously, in the East. But you got to remember, at that point in time, there was an imbalance in the NBA. Those of us who are a little bit older, the young pups may not remember this too well. Maybe you do, but for much of LeBron James's 8 consecutive trips to finals last decade, the one reason why it wasn't as impressive as some people make it out to be is because 2/3 of the star power was in the West. And for the fact that the Warriors were able to make it to 5 consecutive NBA finals during that stretch when 2/3 of the star power was in the West, while LeBron and the Cavs were kind of coasting through the East, playing lackadaisical basketball. One day, they'll beat a Warriors team at home, but then or on the road, but then come home and lose by 29 at home to the Grizzlies or some shit. That was the reality of the Cavaliers. So let me say this. I think at that time, that team was, it was Clint Capella at center. I'm trying to remember that roster. I think it was Chris Paul at point guard, James Harden at shooting guard, although they were interchangeable, obviously, because James Harden could play point guard. And that made them a unique backcourt. I think, who else was on that team? I think Trent Tucker was the power forward, but, he was known more for his defensive prowess, his physicality, and his ability to hit the corner threes. And I think their small forward was, it was Trevor Ariza. And I think Joe Johnson, it's the last team Joe Johnson played on before he retired or at least left the NBA. I think they had a pretty good bench. I just can't remember everybody on the team like I used to. But it was a great squad. And they won 65 games. And they were a very, very, very good defensive team. And I think that will be the separation between the Rockets and the Cavs. Contrary to popular opinion, that Cavaliers team was really, really good. They were good. They only won 50 games because they didn't practice. Remember, I think that was one of the problems that Isaiah Thomas had. Not the Isaiah Thomas of the Detroit Pistons, but the Isaiah Thomas that played on that team briefly. He said one of the reasons why he could never get better, and he's coming back from his hip injury, is at the pace that he wanted to. He said this team never practices. The same thing I think was said from Derrick Rose when he briefly played for them one year. I think it might have been that year too. He said this team never practices. He said, I remember there was a stretch. I think Tyronn Lue said there was a stretch where that team didn't hold a single practice for like a month. That's unheard of. Who the hell goes an entire month without practicing? A lazy ass motherfucker who just want to beat up teams based on your pure talent. So the Cavs didn't really start turning on until the playoffs. And that's they looked like a better team in the postseason. They were more dominant during the postseason because they were limping through the regular season. I don't want to say limping, but they were kind of coasting at least through the regular season. But I tend to think that the Rockets just had too much firepower for that Cavaliers team, especially with Kyrie Irving out there. Just too much firepower. But this was prime LeBron James too. So you have to factor that in. You know, this guy, I know people don't like him, but this is the LeBron James that could carry a team very, very far. He could literally carry you the first 2 to 3 rounds of the playoffs by himself, damn near. You know, he's going to give you 34 points. He'll give you 8, 9 rebounds, 8, 9 assists. When he wants to ratchet up, he can give you some decent defense. You know, gotta give the guys due. But I don't think they would beat the Rockets, that version of the Rockets. I don't think they will beat them. I would say the Rockets will probably win that series minimum 6 games, possibly 5 games. I would just go with 4 games to 1. I think, and also seeing that Rocket squad, Mike D'Antoni is the coach versus Tyronn Lue, the Cavs not as good defensively as they had been before. Man, I wouldn't be surprised if you have some really high scoring games in that finals, like 140, 137, you know, shit like that. I wouldn't be surprised. And I also wouldn't be surprised if a couple of games LeBron flirts with 50. But it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough because it's not going to be one of those LeBron series where he averages damn near triple-double. He's shooting 56, 57%. I think it'll be one of those series where LeBron averages 30, 35, or 30. Yeah, I'll give him 35, but his shooting percentage is going to be close to 50. Now, it don't sound like much, but for a guy that was taking half his shots in the post, that's a significant decrease. And in this series, you don't have a Kyrie Irving. So you have to rely on LeBron James even more than usual to do to conduct most of your scoring. And if the others aren't scoring, which is a big possibility with a lockdown defender like Trevor Ariza on the floor, when you have Chris Paul, who's not necessarily ever, in my opinion, a lockdown defender, but I thought he was a good help defender. And we all know he was great in getting steals in the passing lanes and things of that nature in his prime. And James Harden, when he needs to, that backcourt, they could get a lot of strips. They weren't great one-on-one defenders. I will never say that. But they were good at getting deflections and steals. And the other guys doing the more tedious defensive work as far as, being better textbook defenders. Like I said, Trevor Ariza, Clint Capella, uh, Tucker, they're gonna cause havoc. You know what I'm saying, on the defensive end. So with Clint Capella down low, I don't know how effective LeBron will be. Plus Tucker, I don't know how effective LeBron will be as far as consistently driving to the cup and dishing out or getting scores for himself, easier scores. Most of that's going to have to be in transition. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I tend to think that the Rockets will win that series pretty easily, man. They're just deeper, more firepower, uh, far superior guard play without Kyrie Irving, and LeBron couldn't do enough on his own. It's just not enough. It's not enough. The Eastern Conference is weak, and to be honest with you, the NBA Finals championship series was the Western Conference Finals that year. That's just my opinion. Tell me what you guys think.